Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving the 2025 Nissan Armada Platinum. Up front is a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6, and down below is a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, I'm super excited to be driving this Armada for one reason. It is all new for 2025, and we have quite a good amount of goodies to show off. I've also never formally reviewed an Armada here on the channel, and so we are fixing that today up here in Farmington Hills, Michigan. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you would like to see all of my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month to get exclusive videos and audio content. But let's get back to that 3.5-liter V6, better known as the VR35. It shares an engine family with the Nissan GTR, and although the V8 is gone, this actually produces 425 horsepower, which is more than the outgoing V8. I like the power band, I like how smooth it is, and honestly, because it is twin turbo and a V6, it actually spools up relatively quickly. There's not a whole lot of turbo lag going on, which is definitely nice to see and feel. Like I said, paired to it is a 9-speed automatic. This has been the standard for Nissan framed vehicles for quite some time, and when I say framed, I mean the Titan, Frontier, and the Armada. I like it. It does its job well, and I like it when things do their job well. And last but not least, this particular Armada is 4-wheel drive. However, you can find 2-wheel drive Armadas throughout the entire trim walk. So lowest trim, highest trim, middle trim, you can get them all in 2-wheel drive if you'd prefer. How does it feel to drive the Nissan Armada? Well, it's big. There's no denying that and no getting around that. However, I am very comfortable. I'm relatively removed from the road. This is a luxury-oriented vehicle. Visibility is good, steering is light. I've been steering with 2 fingers this whole time, and honestly, I like it quite a bit. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 14.3-inch screens. My gauge cluster in front of me is one of those 14.3-inch screens, and I like it. It's relatively uncluttered, which I like to see. It's not the craziest, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. And on the steering wheel, on the left, we have our adaptive cruise control options, which does have Pro Pilot Assist 2.1, meaning this is a hands-free system, and you can spec it on lower trims. Off to the right, we do have selectors for that gauge cluster screen, as well as skip track and things like that. And off to the left, we have a climate control vent, our lane keep assist, and head-up display information. And down below, we have our auto holding brake and power parking brake. Moving out of the door, we have our Klipsch sound system. This is a 12-speaker sound system, 600 watt, and this is new to the Nissan Armada. This is a new partnership between Nissan and Klipsch, or however you say it. Now, they actually took us to a recording studio here in Michigan, apparently where Alicia Keys was just several days ago, to show us some of the audio fine-tuning. It's a fantastic sound system. It sounds really, really good, and the vice president of the speaker company, actually flew to Japan, tested out one of the vehicles, and said, no, that is not worthy of the name. So they redid it, he flew back to Japan, and gave it his seal of approval. So they really went the extra mile for the sound system. Down below, we do have 2 levels of memory seats, lock and unlock, power mirrors, power folding mirrors, and power windows. Up and to the right of the rear view mirror, you actually do get a built-in dash cam. So not only does this record out the front, but it actually will record the interior cabin of the vehicle as well. Now, we can go into the center screen and take a look at what it's seeing. We can record, we can take snapshots and things like that. Very, very smart that more automakers are starting to include dash cams. It's just a good idea to have, and when they install it from the factory, you don't have all this gaudy cabling and wiring going throughout your car. So, really, really cool feature, and I'm just curious about who the first person to send out a Christmas card that took the picture for it in a Nissan Armada camera. I'm sure there's got to be someone at some point somewhere. Moving into the center, we have our second 14.3-inch screen. This is for our wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This does have Google built in as well, which is a 5-year trial, but you will have to pay at some point. However, it hasn't actually been decided what you'll pay at the end. But the coolest thing is the front view camera, or just the camera system in general, because I've never seen this before. You can actually make the camera stretch to the gauge cluster screen as well to really give you a very full idea of what you're driving towards here in the Armada. Very cool capability. Down below, we do have our trailer brake sensitivity, of which it actually gives you a little digital readout. Haven't seen this before, and I really like that. And moving into the center, we have 2 climate control vents, our camera button, hazard switch, and skip track. And then we have physical climate controls down below. So we have heated and ventilated seat buttons, dual zone climate buttons, heated steering wheel button, on and off button, and I really like this. A lot of automakers are going towards just one screen to do everything, and I don't like that. So I'm happy to see all of these physical buttons, and the Nissan team made a point to say that, yeah, we hate touchscreens for climate controls, so we left them here in the Armada. We do have some drive mode settings. We have our 4 high and 4 low off to the right, as well as traction control. Down below that, we have the shifter. Absolutely love that, and our ride height off to the right. So the Armada can raise and lower itself 4 inches front to rear. 4 different drive modes. For rock, off-road, it's going to be, of course, higher. On the highway, it's actually going to lower itself down a little bit to give you better aerodynamics, and that's cool there. In the center, we do have a wireless charger and 2 USB-Cs, and then our cup holders off to the right. So we'll do a big freaking bottle test, and it fails. Wah, wah, wah. However, let me let the thing play. However, I talked to the engineers that built and designed this car, and they said the thought that went into it was so extensive for the cup holders. They did an 80mm base that tapers out to a 90mm mouth. That seems to be industry standard. But they spent hours and hours and hours to the point where they actually showed me. This is exclusive footage, ladies and gentlemen. This is the bin of cups that they use to test their vehicles. They just have a Rubbermaid container full of cups and bottles to test the cup holders of cars. A lot of thought goes into this. So hats off to the Nissan team. Although it doesn't pass, you gotta give them credit where credit's due. Off to the right of the cup holder, you will see this little Since 1951 logo. This is actually a callback to this car's brother, the Nissan Patrol, that has been on sale since 1951 and has pretty much defined off-roading for the Nissan brand. Now, globally, this car is sold as the Nissan Patrol. And for the Pro 4X trim levels seen here, it's actually no different than the Nissan Patrol in any way. It has the same off-road capability, same engine, transmission, everything's the same. The seats are heated, ventilated, power, memory, and massage. You get 3 different massage features here in the Armada, and I absolutely love it. This car really does push luxury, and that's very clear here with the seats. However, speaking of seats, we have 2 more rows of seating. The Armada is the big boy, so let's go do a backseat review. All right, so we're in the second row of the 2025 Nissan Armada, and a couple of things to note. First of all, I'm 5'11", not a small guy, and I fit back here really well. We do have our own climate controls down below for temperature, fan speed, and heated seats. Lovely to see that. We have 2 USB-Cs as well as a 12-volt outlet. We have 2 cup holders and 2 more USB-Cs for the third row, but they actually also have their own back there, so these are just kind of bonus. There's plenty of charging opportunities. Knees not even coming close to the seat in front of me. Head's not coming close to the ceiling. Doesn't seem like... Oh, I do. I have a bar to go forward and back, so I can adjust the seat in that way. They are captain's chairs, and I can recline a pretty fair amount. So very usable back seats. I'm going to set it somewhat here in the middle, but let's hop into the third row and take a look from back there. All right, so we're in the third row of the Armada, and this is huge. I mean that literally and figuratively. I fit back here. Again, 5'11", not a small guy. I could sit back here very comfortably. My knees are probably have 5-6 inches before they even come close to hitting the seat in front of me. I have USB-C chargers back here as well. I have power options. I can recline if I want. Very, very good. Now, Nissan told me that this actually has 4 inches more back here, rear leg room, than the outgoing Armada. And the way that they did that is kind of crazy. They changed the opening of the rear tailgate. They changed the rear suspension to be more compact so they could scoot it back just a little bit. This culmination of tons of different methods were able to yield 4 more inches of third row space. And so normally I always say that, third row SUVs aren't that good to be in the back. This is the exception. This is good to be in the back, and I like that a lot. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the Nissan Armada, we do have a button in there for the power-operated tailgate. Nothing too crazy beyond that, but I did leave the vehicle running for one reason. This is to raise and lower the Armada to make it easier to get stuff in and out of. So let me see if I can set it up and lower it. And there you go. Now it sits lower to make it a little bit easier to get things in and out of. We also do have a wall outlet back here, and we have power buttons for all 4 rows. So 1, 2, 3. These take a little bit longer, but you can do them at the same time, and you could. Oh, it's one touch. You don't have to hold it. Oh, that headrest is going to be a problem. Yep, I knew that. I done knew that. There we go. Oh, why is the tailgate closing? Hey, wait a second. Okay, now we can finish, and there you go. They wanted to point out the fact that the Armada now has a flat loading floor, where previous generations there was a hump in the middle. So, completely flat, and you can bring them both back up with the push of a button, but the second row has to be put up manually. You can come down here. We do have some extra storage, but nothing too crazy beyond that. Come up here, tailgate right there, bring it right back down. There we go, the Platinum Reserve Nissan Armada. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I quite like the look of the new Armada. Of course, it is all brand new. It's a new frame, which is nice to see, and this is finished in a darker blue, which I think is really, really nice. However, I do want to point out one thing on the exterior. It's actually this little Armada badge at the back. The internal Nissan name for this is the Candy Bar, which I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny and cool. I do think that it's a pretty vehicle, especially for a big 3-row. I think it looks nice and presentable and does feel luxury. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the brand new Nissan Armada? Well, I really like it. Now, you're gonna pay for it. This is about an $80,000 SUV. And to be clear, the Platinum Reserve 4-wheel drive starts at $79,900, but with the added packages and Pro Pilot Assist, which is $3,000 on its own and a $2,010 destination charge, this particular one is $86,840, but the Platinum Reserve starts at $80,000. But let's compare it to another vehicle that I drove, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. First of all, it's 40 grand less than the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I think it looks better than the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I trust the Nissan engine more than I trust the Jeep Grand Wagoneer's engine. Luxury is gonna be negligible. Is it better than that? Does it feel comfier, cozier? They both have massage seats. They both got a lot of screens. They both got nice leather. It's gonna be a toss-up between the two. I would be happy to drive either of them across country. But again, you have to factor in that $40,000 less. At that point, this starts to sound like a really good deal. And it is nice to finally see the Nissan Armada getting its day in the sun. It's well-deserved moment because this was one of Nissan's aging products. But now it's finally new, and I like it. I really, really do. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nissan for letting me borrow their Armada and teaching me all of the intricacies, not only of what goes into this car, but what goes into auto manufacturing. It was cool to see the research and design that has to happen for a car to exist. And so Nissan is wonderful. They always have been, and I hope that they always will be. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.